Hey guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha the God, and today I want to talk about Luffy's gum gum fruit, or spoilers alert. By the way, it's a spoiler video because what I will talk about will have to spoil the latest couple of chapters of One Piece. I just caught up to One Piece. I started reading it like about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, and I've caught up with everything. And yeah, so I got a few theories, but this is one of them, and it's about the Gungam fruit and Luffy's luck. So if you think about it, way back, we noticed that Luffy has like supreme luck, right? Even if you remember, Hawkins tried to look through his cards to see, the chances of Luffy dying, and no matter what he tried, which way he tried to like predict the outcome, no matter what he tried to do, Luffy's chances of survival refused to go to zero. It just flatly refused. It just would not happen. No matter what, he always had a chance of survival. This is very important here because if you remember when Buggy and crew kidnap Luffy way back, and they basically try to execute him, and the scaffolding gets struck by lightning, and he gets struck by lightning, and Luffy survives. And there's been a few situations like this where, like, how did Luffy survive that? And these are the situations outside of his crew saving him and stuff like that. And if you think about it, I think it's something to do with the Gungam fruit, or the Zeon type human fruit. The most. Now they didn't actually say it's the strongest fruit. Initially when I first read it, I thought they said it's the strongest, the greatest fruit ever, but it's actually not. It's the most. What did they say exactly? It was like the most ridiculous, basically, right? The most ridiculous fruit. So its capabilities are ridiculous. It just does random. It just can't do shit that like other shit can't do. I think this is important here because it's a ridiculous fruit because the human fruit, and what are humans known for, right? Humans create and do a bunch of weird shit, right? Including like you know dictating our own luck and praying and doing all of these humanistic things. As a human fruit, it makes sense that it can quote unquote pray and almost be its own deity, right? I don't know if that was probably a horrible explanation, but it has the capability of fate, right? It has the capability of things that other fruits wouldn't have, right? Because let's say a dragon fruit, like a Kaido's dragon fruit, it it doesn't like it's the you get the abilities of that creature, right? And that's what you get. And most of those creatures don't have a will of their own, right? If you look at most of the fruits, none of these creatures have a will of their own, but humans do, right? And I think that's important here. And I think that the human fruit, or more specifically, Joy Boy, kept his will in the fruit, in the Gungam fruit. I think he kept his will in the fruit, and I think his will drives Luffy more than Luffy is aware, right? And I think Luffy's character helps, in that. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Gungam fruit evaded the government for 800 years, because the fruit has a will of its own. I think it only appeared when it knew the right person would get it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the key here. It allowed Shanks to get it because I don't think Joy Boy minded being Shanks. But I think it also was aware that Shanks would give it to, Luffy would be able to get his hands on it through that way, through Shanks. And this is important here because if you think about it, we have fruits that can traverse through time. We have, fruits that can see the future. We have all these types of fruits, and we have, historical promises by Joy Boy and the poneglyphs and predicting things in the future and telling things that will come. They're not saying this might happen. They're saying this will happen. And I think that gives us a lot of information in regards to the world of One Piece and how it's actually created. Time isn't quite linear as we thought it was. And if there's a fruit that can hop into the future, potentially there's a fruit that can hop into the past. And perhaps that's how Joy Boy got his information, but we've no real idea yet. And I think the One Piece will give us a lot of these answers whenever we discover the One Piece, which is more than likely just the meaning of like peace and unity, more so than it is just a treasure. But the only person that can bring it forth is Joy Boy, and AKA White Gold Roger said that I'm too early. That's all it is. That's all he says, and he laughs. And that's probably one of the reasons why it's funny, because it's a person. The One Piece is a person, aka Luffy, and Joy Boy, and obviously there's more to it. There's going to be treasure. There's going to be other stuff as well. But that's the key thing. You need Joy Boy to activate the One Piece. Without Joy Boy, it doesn't happen. So this thing that everybody's looking for is like, oh, okay, it's a thing that can only be accessed by one person, which is kind of funny because everybody's looking for this thing, but only one person can actually utilize it. I think that's a part of the reason why it's funny. But also now, and why I'm talking about this is because I think this is all important, because I think that Luffy's Gum Gum fruit, and when I was talking about wills and all, people having a will of their own, I think Joy Boy put his will through the fruit. And I think that's one of the driving reasons why Luffy has so much luck. Because I think Joy Boy is intervening with the world around him to ensure his survival, right? And again, with the lightning striking to save him from the scaffolding, and the top and the execution board. And if you notice, what was one of the things Luffy did when he officially became Joy Boy? He grabbed lightning from the sky and threw it at Kaido. So that obviously means that Joy Boy has control over elements, right? He can grab onto things that aren't supposed to be tangible. And I think that's what Joy Boy did without Luffy's knowledge at that moment. You know what I'm saying? So my theory is that Joy Boy commands the will of the Gum Gum fruit. Because I think he was the first person to have the Gum Gum fruit. Because again, you have to understand that fruits are created by somebody's dreams and people's dreams, right? So I think people dreamed of a human that would give them liberation, right? Somebody that had brought joy wherever they went, right? Somebody that smiled all the time. And this is why when Luffy turns into his Joy Boy form, he can't help but laugh. He has no choice. He has to laugh. It is the demand of the fruit. It is the will of the fruit itself that you must smile when you're using it to its fullest potential, right? Or close to it. You know what I'm saying? You have to smile. You have no choice, because that is the will of the fruit. And like we said, all these fruits were created by dreams. And the dream was for a smiling savior to protect humanity and to free humanity. And Joy Boy was the first manifestation, at least that we're aware of that. And Luffy is the second coming almost, right? And I think that's what's important here. And so I think that showcases just another special trait of the human fruit. The fact that it has its own will and it forces you to be a certain way. Because in order to utilize it, you must be of that ilk, right? Because that's the dream of the people. And dreams are what create devil fruits. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of all this? I'm new to the One Piece world, so I don't know if I explained the theory all that super well. But I hope it was still entertaining and fun, and at least made you think about the potential of the human fruit and how Luffy might be able to leave his own will onto the fruit for the next user of the Gum Gum fruit, right? Or Luffy might even be the end of the road for it, because liberation would be achieved, and therefore that dream would be achieved, and therefore the fruit would no longer need to exist past this point. We still don't know if that's a potential, that devil fruits may disappear once those dreams have been met, right? Because no, Joy Boy failed, right? Joy Boy died. He lost. That's why he promised to come back. And he promised through the fruit, you know what I'm saying, that he will be back. And so he's been waiting patiently for the right moment to appear and be reborn. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, anyway, it's been your boy Supreme Cheated God. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out.